Is God good? Wait, better question for you. Is God good all the time? I mean, let's be real. You got some problems in your life, don't you? So where's God? Maybe you didn't pray enough. Maybe God just got it out for you. Or maybe the devil is just in charge this week. I mean, what's going on? What's going on? If God's good all the time, and we know that the full blessing of the Lord has been poured out on his children. Well, that's what the prodigal son's about. The full blessing has been poured out on his children. But what did you go and do? What did you go off and run away towards that made you prodigal, lost, confused? What did you do? God didn't change, you did. God doesn't change. That's the whole idea. So the only variable is you. Well, how did you become adulterated as one of his children? Is it possible that God was so flawed that he created children capable of turning from him and becoming corrupted? Would you serve a God that did such a thing? Would you serve a God that put you in a roulette game of chance on this planet with the possibility that you could end up on the wrong side of history? Would you serve that God? All day, every day, people serve that God. That God's being served up all over the planet. You see, there's a difference here. That God is being served up as a false resurrected idol. How you get to know the Father so that you're no longer in the state of being prodigal, confused, lost, squandering your wealth, is you let God serve you. So you've been serving a God. I'm telling you to let God serve you. There's the big idea. There's the pivotal point where it all collapses, the whole house of cards. Let God serve you. How? Think about what the fruits of the Spirit are. This is how you know the Father, is by you shall know them by their fruit. You know the Father by the fruits of the Spirit. Well, if you're not of the Father, then you can choose to be outside of those attitudes toward life. And that's what it means to be prodigal. It means that you stepped outside of the reflection of God. God can't serve you because you're not looking at God. You're not the reflection of God. You're off facing this world, being the reflection in the mirror of the mind that swept the earth looking for someone to sin. You're reflecting the drama, the story of all the reasoning that you've put together, and it's playing out for you. It's not playing out to you, it's playing out for you to see what you've done. But think of it like this. You're looking like I'm looking right here. I can see my reflection. Now, if I'm reflecting the qualities of God to God, well, then God can serve me. God can pass me the ball. And guess what? In that moment when God serves me, I serve God. But see, if I'm out there trying to serve God, but I'm serving God out there, I'm reflecting what's out there. God in the sky with a beard, a man that can be clothed from a perspective of human reasoning. You serve that God? That's the false archetype that enslaves 3/4 of the population, serving that God. I let God serve me. You see, God is serving me up anyway. I'm in the mind of God. God's not in my mind. If God were in my mind, then I could serve God. But since I'm in the mind of God, then God must serve me. This is where you get it backwards. And they tricked you and deceived you so that you would fall once again, looking out there to serve some God. God is all in all, and outside of God there is no other. So why not reflect the qualities of God and let God serve you?
Hello everyone, this is Vernita. I just want to give my experience at the workshop last November in Wisconsin with Matthew David Hurtado's workshop. I attended the workshop with fibromyalgia, very sick, the fog, in pain, and I believe it was the first day. He did the entrainment set, and I experienced immediate relief from fibromyalgia. 2 days later, after returning home, I continued the entrainment sets for 1 week. I'm honest, just for 1 week. And I'm looking for like side effects from fibromyalgia: pain, dizziness, muscle pain, the fog, all the crap that goes with fibromyalgia, and no symptoms. That was November, December, January, February. I am absolutely pain-free, medication-free, no medications, zero, nada, and no fog, no nothing. If you ever have the opportunity to attend one of his workshops, do so, because a miracle will happen. Attend. Vernita Hamblin. Fibromyalgia is gone completely. Bye.
So I'm here. I'm outside the event for the Spiritual Special Forces. And I want to just do something with you right now. I want to set the stage. I want to take you through an experience. Here's why. Every single person who stood up against this system has been destroyed. And that doesn't change. That has not changed in thousands of years. I want you to let that set in. So, attending a conference where everybody's against the system and, is battling against the powers that be and celebrating the fact that they're doing something about what's happening in the world. It perplexes me because the whole idea is based on human ego. It's a very adolescent way to look at life. It's looking at life through the eyes of someone who's spiritually not developed. Because when you battle against life, you're battling against yourself. Doesn't matter what aspect of life you're up against. If you knew that God was all and you're in the mind of God, then you would understand that God created the powers that be. For what purpose? Well, for the purpose of good, it says in the Bible. So when you start labeling things as bad and wrong, you're actually identifying yourself. You're actually showing yourself who you are. And so you go off and you celebrate and you create people that gather together to push against these things, and without fail or exception, they always end up being destroyed, either publicly, physically, financially, or in some capacity. You show me anyone who has beaten the system going up against them in this way. Show me anyone. There is not a single one, because it's not the way it works. And so it's foolishness to believe that you're going to change the system when you are the system. So here's the system. You showed up because you are in a dream state of reality. You think that you're awake, and you are, because wake means dead. You're in the wake of something that's moving. You're in the wake of it, which means you are not being the something that's moving. Life is like a still image of collections of images moving across the screen of space so fast that your five senses think you're watching a linear time frame progression, okay? Still image snapshots, flickering in and out of existence. But most of it's 99.99997% empty space. Well, look at your stop motion films. My son showed me the other day one that he made, and I said, okay, so what'd you do? So he takes a picture, and then he has to move it around, takes another picture, move it around, takes another picture, and he takes so many pictures that when you play it all fast together, you can't see the hand that he has moving things around. That's what your life is. The hand is the hand of God. It's moving everything around. But you see it, and it looks like it's all happening. It's being orchestrated. There's only one hand that moves, God's hand. So when you stand on one side of a duality, flip the coin, it doesn't matter which side it lands on. It's still the same. So you'll get more from this exercise that I'm going to take you through now than you will spending 5 years researching, digging, and trying to push against the very system that you want to change. You don't like being a slave to the economic system. You don't like being bombarded with food toxins and poisons. You don't like being told what to do by people who are not accountable to their own rules. Nobody appreciates these things. The question is what you're doing about it. If it were actually effective, it would have worked by now, but it doesn't. And so the delusion is that taking a stand means something. You're taking a stand in a world out there that's a dream. It's a dream. Better for you to look within and decide in your heart what is in you that needs to be understood, so that the hand that moves can move things into a better perspective to bring harmony and correct your view of life. So follow along with me. Pay attention to any problem that's really upsetting you right now. Whatever is bothering you, put your mind on that problem. Now feel those feelings. Now at the same time, concentrate in the gap and the space between everything, including your thoughts. My words, your thoughts, your breath. Become aware of the natural inflow and outflow of your breath. You don't have to try to make anything happen. It just happens. Just surrender to it and allow the breath to happen. Now, somewhere off in the distance, keep the memory of what you feel in the problem. And just keep your attention on your breath. And allow yourself to witness the thoughts that are circulating around, the opinions of right and wrong, the beliefs about who is to blame, how things could be better, and how you wish things could be different for you. And just put your attention on your breath. Now notice that in one state of awareness there's a problem, and there is thinking that goes along with it, and feelings. And your breath, when left alone without any intervention on your part, has a natural rhythm, an inflow and an outflow. It's governed by a whole separate mind. See, the mind that's off in the distance with the problem, focusing on the solution, creating more problems, is not the same mind that's keeping you breathing. In fact, you can let everything go and drift off into sleep. And the same mind that keeps that breath going can happen automatically without any thought whatsoever on your behalf. Wouldn't you like your life to represent that type of inflow and outflow? A type of orderliness that occurs naturally? What I'm suggesting is, what would be the worst that could happen if you took your mind off the problem altogether? And just observed the feeling that's happening in your heart, the wound, the upset, the emotion behind the problem is more valuable than the problem for your attention to be placed on. And the secret, as you keep focusing on your breath and not the actual problem or the emotion, is to be aware of this emotion, but yet you are not this emotion. It doesn't have a meaning unless you give it one. It's just phenomena. It's something undefined until you put your reasoning mind on it and create a story out of what you think you heard, you saw, you felt, tasted, smelled. You think that life happens to you. So you gather these reports from inside your reasoning mind, based on data that you've accumulated. And while this data seems to be accurate, it seems to serve you in some capacity. The fact that you're bumping up against problems, all roads lead to the idea that you're computing error in a world that somehow has a perfect order to it, because if it didn't, then God would break at its most vital point. You see, if God couldn't contain itself in perfect orderliness, and God meaning the life that is all eternal, spiritual, one mind. There's one mind, one power, one presence, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. So to stop and correct means to understand what you think you saw, what you think you heard, what you think you felt, tasted, smelled. These things happened while you were awake, which means you were dreaming. You think the dream is real. So you argue for your position. And that actually binds you to the very problem itself. Because solutions create problems in the world of the natural. I gave up natural health in order to overcome my chronic Lyme disease afflicted state that I was in. Because health in the natural was not where I wanted to represent my life. I chose to represent the supernatural. See, the supernatural is that element, that mind, that orchestrates the inflow and outflow of this breath automatically. And see, we get caught up in this and we try to pervert it and we start to focus on our breath and we create diseases from that. Then all of a sudden we have breathing problems. Because whatever we put our human focus on becomes a problem. Why? Why, you say, why? Well, 6,500 years of language can give you a clue. The late David Windmiller, Russell J. Gould, the parse, syntax, grammar, adverb, verb, adverb, adjective, pronoun, the dance of language that creates a no contract situation, scenario. Well, if you programmed a computer with a bunch of corrupted language, would you not get a bunch of viruses? A bunch of problems? Everywhere you went, you'd see problems. Well, what do you think thousands of years of corrupted language has done? The human condition exists in a state of mental diseases right now. So to focus on health in the natural is redundant, because the natural is where all the problems exist. See, your problem that you're focusing on, your emotional awareness, all of these things are in the natural. And your breath and your imagination are the only two things that are supernatural, that belong to you, that were given to you as a function of your divinity. So your breath and your imagination are the only two real aspects of divinity. Everything else is garbage. Everything else belongs to this world. Everything else is Lucifer's reflection. So you have to decide whether you're the image and likeness of God or you're the image and reflection of Lucifer. Natural belongs to Lucifer. And you say, Matthew, how do I make this choice? Well, Romans 8, for the law of spirit has freed me from the law of sin and death. Well, what is that law of spirit? Well, those are the fruits of the Spirit. You see, the delicious fruit that comes from the tree of life are the qualities of God that are representative of a life divine, seeing only the life divine, knowing that the dream is nothing but a dream. It is a dream of terror that swept the earth and beguiles those who are captive in the middle place. And I'm still focusing on my breath the whole time. So how am I communicating with you? Don't I have to put words together in order to translate my message to you? What I'm telling you is that beyond the realm of human thought, what they call the flow state, some people call it channeling. You know this because you experience it quite often. Your breath is flowing all day, every day, because you're not putting your thought on it. And it's when humans start putting their thought on it that they start creating problems with it. So what are we to do? Let God be true and every man a liar. And if God is true, well then the thoughts of God towards his man are always true regardless of what the human five senses appear to be recording. Because those human five senses belong not to the realm of the supernatural. They belong to the realm of the natural. So your choice is to decide who you are. Do you belong to the realm of the natural or do you belong to the supernatural? Because whatever you choose to belong to is going to be your master. So I invite you to join me in that space. The pure awareness, when it observes a problem, the problem vanishes into pure awareness. It's a state of letting go completely, like back floating in the ocean. Do you have the courage to trust life? Do you have the capacity to receive good? Because the choice is yours. If you are of this world, then take a stand and be part of this world and try to make the solution. But if you look at history, you'll see that in that history, everyone who has taken that stand has been destroyed. And now when you look at the psalmist, David, it'll become clear as you meditate, looking for the state that David is embracing. Don't look at the words as much as you look at the state. Again and again, David is praising the Lord as the all-sufficiency in times of battle, in times of good, in times of what appears to be evil. David isn't turning to his human instinct. That got him in a lot of trouble. David is recognizing that it is the divine part of his nature that has been his refuge, his fortress, his protector, his provider. While the part of him that wanted to war, the part of him that wanted to indulge in the temptations of the flesh, these were the very things that got him in trouble in the first place. So who was he in trouble with? He was in trouble with the Lord, because God created all things and declared them good. So which side of history do you want to be on? Because history is his story, God's story. You see, this is a very subtle shift in awareness. But the consequences are the big difference that you're looking for. Pushing against the system, rebelling, taking a stand is not how Gandhi got out of prison and became appointed to the highest order. I suggest you think again about how to solve the problems of this planet. Because when I look and see human will, I see casualty. And when I see the will of God, I see not only royalty, but I see victory.
Hey there, Ona Hansen from New York. I recently attended the Spiritual Millionaire Conference 4.0, and I'm telling you, it was one of the most transformational journeys of my entire life. I learned a new way of thinking. I was able to change my habits, my mindset. I was able to learn strategies to help me along my journey of success in my business, and to help me to take my business to the next level. I did not anticipate that I would be this excited after attending a conference. This is not one of those motivational conferences. No, this is a conference where you go in one way and you leave out another way. I have downloaded new thoughts, patterns, new belief systems. My habits are totally different. Matthew, you are amazing. You are a genius. And I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to the next conference. If you are thinking about attending a conference with Spiritual Millionaire, you will not be disappointed.
So I want to give you another story. I love telling stories nowadays. So let me tell you the story about Nasty Taco. Okay? Now, Nasty Taco is the story of how every scam is played on this planet. And we're all immune to it as long as we don't recognize the truth that nobody out there, no man out there is going to do anything for you. Okay? If you don't correct your ways yourself, there's nobody out there that's going to help you. Now, let me tell you the story. So, this guy's driving along the road, and he sees this joint called Nasty Taco. Now, Nasty Taco is just another, place on the map. Okay? It's just like another one of these places you drive by, and you may or may not ever stop there. But today, this man stops at the Nasty Taco, and he walks in there, and he says, my goodness, this place, this is an extraordinary moment. And so the owner, a little bit taken back, is wondering, well, what is this guy so interested in this? Like, I've never seen this reaction before. I mean, we've been around for a while. I haven't seen this kind of optimism. And so he says, sir, can I help you? And so the guy, looking around, he's marveling at Nasty Taco. He says, you have no idea, do you? And the owner is like, I don't know. Did something happen that I'm not aware of? And so the man looks at the owner and he says, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm from the future. And I got to tell you, Nasty Taco is the place. It is the franchise of all franchises. Everybody's talking about Nasty Taco. Now, I know you probably don't believe me, but I want to tell you how it happened. You see, a famous guy came into Nasty Taco one day, and this was before he became really, really famous. And he took a liking to Nasty Taco, and it was something that when he did become famous, he happened to drop. And he started to tell people about his favorite little joint, this place that was very obscure, hard to find. Nobody knew about it, but Nasty Taco was his favorite food. And since this guy became very famous, very successful, well, there was a demand now for Nasty Taco. You see, people in Ohio and New York and California and Detroit, Michigan, these people wanted them some Nasty Taco. But the thing is the only one that existed was in Wisconsin. So they couldn't just get on a plane and go have this experience. So the demand causes the money to flow. And so an investor calls Nasty Taco. So you'll be talking to somebody soon, and this investor is going to call you. And this investor is going to tell you that, hey, we're going to tidy up your place a little bit. We got some ideas. We want to put money behind Nasty Taco. We want to serve the demand. There's going to be this massive demand. And so like a good business owner that you are, you'll go ahead and you'll put some skin in the game and expand and give the world the Nasty Taco that they're looking for. And you become an overnight sudden success because of one successful person that comes along, crosses your path, and makes it all happen for you. And the owner is taken back. He's like, this is incredible. Wow. And so as the owner is starting to see a vision of, Nasty Taco becoming this overnight success, this massive name brand, the owner says, well, what do I do to get involved? Well, the guy across that walked in the restaurant says, listen, I'm glad you asked because I am that famous guy. So the story goes like this. Everywhere you turn, somebody's going to be promising you a Nasty Taco, an overnight success, this immediate victory. And they just happen to be the one that's the key to connecting you to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's what I call the pipe dream. But see, the pipe dream is so seductive that it causes you to part ways with what you perceive to be small change in exchange for the big payoff. You see, the pie in the sky is that one day you're going to have millions and millions or billions of dollars. This is a huge, huge thing. So it's really not a big deal today to put up $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 because that's just a temporary hurdle, a temporary pain to get to the ultimate pleasure, the ultimate pleasure. And so this is the basic premise of how every con game works in the entire world. And it's funny because my partners and I, we had someone that tried to, serve a Nasty Taco pipe dream. And it's seductive. And you will get pulled into it. Because you want to believe in the good. You want to know that the good is true. You want to know that there is something better in store for you. But you'll always be able to spot the pipe dream of the Nasty Taco when there is somebody claiming that they are the bridge to the brighter tomorrow that you're looking for. In other words, there's this wretched thing standing in the way of your dream, and it's always going to be asking for something. Something small in exchange for something very, very big. Happens all day, every day. Happens all day, every day. In fact, the latest and greatest trend that's been going on for the past 5 years on the internet has been the age of the guru. Somebody that knows something you don't, and they're going to help you get everything you desire in life. Now, you may be looking at me and saying, well, aren't you the Nasty Taco guy? And see, here's the difference between a guru and a financial deliverer. You see, the guru always claims they are the answer. Their teaching, their specific way of doing things. And now they might be able to help you get some leverage with their insights and their knowledge. And that's a good thing. You can buy another man's wisdom. But the nasty taco comes into the picture when you relinquish all responsibility of yourself, thinking that, up until this day, you basically manifested nothing. But all of a sudden, this magic piece just came into your life and just opened the floodgates, right? But it happens to be a man, a mortal, standing in front of you, or a woman, or somebody like that, and not God. Well, here's the issue, is that God already pulled out the full blessing. You're already in it. You're already in the fullness of all that could ever possibly be. Just which part of you is not reflecting those qualities back and allowing those floodgates to open already, because you don't need that other person. That's the whole trick of the trickery, is that you don't need the other person. So unless the other person is teaching you how you don't need them, the longer they stay in the middle, well, that's no different than modern day religion. You have a person in the middle between you and God. And see, all corruption exists in that middle space. So the nasty taco is the corruption that exists in the middle between here's you and here's where you want to be. Okay? And the corruption always inserts itself right into the middle. So to unwind this whole thing, you can look at every time that you've lost money or you've done some things that you haven't been proud of with yourself, getting involved in schemes and this and that, and you can say, gosh, I really gave that my all, but it didn't work again, over and over and over. You can say, listen, what did I do that was the common denominator every single time? Well, you started eating those nasty tacos, okay? You started serving up nonsense. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense to believe that someone else is going to do anything for you. They can't possibly do anything for you. They can't rob you of your journey, of your own ascension process, your own enlightenment. You may learn things from somebody. You may get skills. They may be able to teach you ways to operate that you didn't know before. But the hustle always comes along and says, I'll do it. Leave it with me. Leave it with me. And that's a nasty taco. Okay? That's a nasty taco. Because even if they do it for you, you can't contain it unless you've already reached the level of acceptance within yourself. So whatever it is within you that's been blocking this the whole time, if that doesn't get uprooted, then even if somebody comes along and hands you the keys to the free property that you're looking to buy as your dream house, the taxes are going to put you out anyway. See, you won't even have the resources to hold on to what they gave you unless you understand that it's between you and you. And the minute you look outside there and you say, this person is the answer, it's this person, I know it, you just bought yourself a nasty taco. You got to accept it for what it is. Teachers come along and teaching comes along to teach you things about yourself. Now, there are things that you can acquire that you're not seeing. That's called knowledge. But then there's also wisdom. And wisdom is not looking out there. Wisdom is looking in here. And when you look in here and you start to say, well, geez, everything was sort of twisted all the way up until this point. So what actually changed in here? Because if nothing changes in here, it doesn't matter what that person out there is saying. They could tell you that the whole world is going to be yours. And you believe them. Why would you believe them? Why would you expect something for nothing? Why would you assume that you didn't make any changes, but yet everything's supposed to change? Because somebody walked in and painted this dream that all was going to be served up for you. And that, my friend, is the story of the nasty taco.
Hello, I'm Julie with Allow Ministries on behalf of Matthew David Hurtado. Are you ready to end self-sabotage, procrastination, and distraction? Clarity, certainty, and a proven plan of action is what it takes to get anything you want in life. Training is the answer. Matthew David Hurtado's Spiritual Millionaire Workshop is the one-step solution that finally puts you in control of your destiny. What Matthew discovered about building a 7-figure business and perfect well-being when he was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease is that mentorship is success without the wait. It works. At allowuniversity.com, you'll discover how to walk in victory. Learn how to prosper in every area with unstoppable daily habits and a step-by-step training to build your dream business immediately following the event, a success training for a lifetime of achievement. Walk in financial increase, living a life you love. Go to allowuniversity.com and say yes to your destiny.